Let's get right back into it. MPC Sample, and we're going to finish what we started on how to make R&B on the MPC Sample. In standalone mode, notice nothing is connected. We have one loop here that we started on yesterday, and we're going to finish it. The loop sounds like this. Great. Excellent. So you get it. There's a lot going on with one loop there. This is what I love about the MPC Sample. This is what I love about MPC workflow. Really quickly, let's go straight into sequence mode by hitting this button right here. We're on sequence mode right now. We can see we're on sequence B1. We can see that we have 8 bars in the sequence, and we can also see that we are at 90 BPM.
Tell me what you want. You slipped up talking that. Now you're tripping on something that you can't take back.
So let's go ahead and copy this sequence and let's spread it across these bottom 4 sequences here. As I have taught you in previous episodes on the MPC show, on Voyager Television, all you need is one loop to make a whole song. And we're going to demonstrate that starting right now. So, we're going to take this one loop here, and we are going to expand upon that. And the best way to do that is holding the erase button and the shift button at the same time. We're copying the sequence from 1 to 2. We're going to go ahead and select 3 and 4 as well. We know that that copy has taken place not only because the GUI says graphical user interface for my beginners out there. It says copy B1 to B2, 3, and 4. But also, if we look at the hardware itself, we can see that the number 2, number 3, and number 4 are all selected. So let's go ahead and let go of the erase button now, which is our secondary function copy. And that has been saved, right? Why would I do that? Well, I want to take what we have and I want to take things away. As the great Rick Rubin told Ye, if you want to finish the song, you want to start stripping things away. And if we want to start stripping things away, we basically just want to take what we already have and we want to subtract from it, right? We can't start a song with everything happening at once. So, how do we do that? How do we minimize this loop, which is all hands on deck? Well, our best mode for this is going to be step edit. And if we hit step edit mode by holding shift and pressing sequence again, we can see everything that is happening within the steps. We can navigate through step edit mode by pressing minus or plus, especially if we have multiple samples selected or engaged through the pad. We can also look at the hardware itself, and we know that a sample is engaged or a pad is programmed based on the color. These pads are programmed because they're purple. The blue pads are not engaged right now. So we can leave those blue pads alone in our mind and we can start thinking about what's already right here. Now, some of you may think if you want to delete a step within a sample, you have to go step for step by dragging your knob, your main knob here, and turning until you can see everything that is being programmed. However, it's the intro, right? How would an R&B song start? If we press play and listen, there's way too much going on, right? So, off top, every time we press play, by the way, it's going to go back to the beginning. If we want to keep the beat going from where we hit the stop button, we can hold shift and press play again, and it will continue from there. However, we're starting at the top here, right? Boom. And once again, there's just too much going on. So let's start listening to what we have here. We have this. That's a 16 level function that we added at the end of last episode. By the way, if you want to check out how we got here, make sure you click on this video up here, how to make R&B on the MPC Sample in standalone mode. This is how we got here. I went step for step, always taking it very slow. A lot of you have been appreciating the speed of these tutorials, so we're going to keep it going in real time. And off top, we don't want that. But this is triggered so many times via 16 level, we don't want to go through here every time, look, and see where it is. As you notice, as I scroll beat per beat, it's highlighted, it's unhighlighted. We don't want that. So what are we going to do? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the first beat. We know we're at the first beat because it says 1.01. This is the beginning of the song. And we're going to start eliminating things. However, that starts here on beat 1.01480. So we hold erase and we tap pad number 11. Erase events, erase all events for pad number 11. Yes, it's all gone now. So now if I hit play again, I'm not hearing it. Because clearly we don't really want that 16 level to happen until the song really gets going. So what else can we take away, Mr. Rick Rubin? Definitely the kick. So let's go ahead and get rid of the kick by holding shift. Pardon me. Don't hold shift. We're gonna just hold erase. And we know the kick is on pad number 1, so let's erase all events for the kick. Let's see what we got. I think the snare can go too. Let's get rid of the snare. Do it. Snare's gone. This is nice. And already I'm like, you know what? This sequence can be basically cut in half. We can go back to sequence mode just by selecting sequence again. And there's a couple ways we could do this. We can take the knob K1 and we can go from 8 bars to 4 bars. That's probably the quickest way to do it. Or we can leave it at 8 bars like it was. And even in sample mode, we don't even have to be in sequence mode. We can be in sequence mode or sample mode by doing this next function. How do you delete half of the sequence? Well, if you look here, it says half sequence, right? Right there, it says half sequence. So if we hold shift and if we hit pad number 2, we're going to delete half of the sequence. Thus, we'll go from 8 bars to 4 bars. Let's do that. Holding shift, pressing pad 2. Sequence B1 has been halved. That's a funny word, halved. So now, if we go back to sequence mode, we can see it's 4 bars. If we go back to step edit mode, we can hear it. Well, we could have heard it anywhere, but now we get to visualize what's being demonstrated here. Let's press play and listen to what we have now. This is our intro, by the way, songwriters. You're just getting the groove going, right? We're not singing yet. We're getting some little ad-libs in here. See, I like that. I like that. And I wonder if we can take anything else away. You know, this, you wouldn't hear that until the beat drops, right? That's that beautiful, delicate, sexy sound. We don't need that. It only happens one time on this measure, which is 4 bars. So we don't have to hold this erase button. We could just tap it and we could just hit erase. And it's gone. Notice it went from purple to blue. Now if we press play again, sounds like something's happening. It sounds like a song is starting. Now, did you hear that? There's a little double hat at the end of that. Let's We need to get rid of that. At the very end here, we're getting an extra hat that we don't need. So I'm scrolling with the knob wheel here, and I'm turning until I get to the very end. And right there, you see there's a hat. Ooh, there's actually an extra one right there. At 4.04959, there's also a hat happening. What else is happening? That's happening. And that's happening again. That doesn't really need to happen. This is a mistake that I've made, clearly. This is a mistake. Because, well, there's two reasons it's a mistake. The first reason it's a mistake is because this should have been triggered at the 5th beat when we had 8 bars, right? Whatever. We'll just erase this one because we don't want that to double up. And we're going to erase that hat, as I mentioned. This may work. Let's listen to what we got. And then we're going to move on to the next part of the intro. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's so good, I almost wouldn't mind that happening twice. So what do I mean by that? If we go back into sequence mode, we don't want to go from here to all in, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to select the second sequence because we want to delete that. I'll show you why in a second. We're going to delete that second sequence. We held the erase button and we hit the pad to delete. Just to show you one more time, we're going to undo that by holding shift and pressing minus, which is undo, as you see there. If you notice here, let me make sure you can see that. You have, oh, I'm showing you my mic. That's why it sounds so good. You see it says undo right here? And then it says redo right there. Hopefully you can read that. Not sure. Let me see the screen real quick. Pardon me. So we can make sure our demo's going on. Yeah, you can't read that at all, can you? You can't read that at all, can you? Okay, now you can actually read what I'm talking about. So now, look. Underneath minus, it says undo. And underneath plus, it says redo, which means if you hold shift and press minus, you get to undo. Just like Microsoft or Apple. It's a very important function on the MPC workflow. And then holding shift and pressing plus, you can redo. While we're here, I'm not sure if you were able to see this earlier, but look at everything underneath these pads. This is why the MPC workflow is so fire, because we have so many functions that are quickly at our availability just by pressing a pad. We could trim the sample, we can do some time correction, we can warp things, we can go full level. Full level is essentially giving the dynamics of any pad that we strike maximum. So even if we hit it lightly, it's going to be played at full volume. That's what full level means. And half sequence, which we've already demonstrated earlier on here, as you see there, the secondary function of pad 2 is half sequence. The secondary function of pad 3 is double sequence, and pad 4 could be count in if you want that count in before you get started. If you were on sequence record and if you were going to add something, if you press sequence record and you press play, you get your count in. And if you want to turn that off, holding shift, now if we press sequence record and press play, it's straight in there. I think the count in is actually dope, so we're going to reselect that, but we won't be utilizing that today, per se. All right, so let's make sure the focus is back on the GUI. We're on manual focus here. We're running the 85mm on the Sony a7 IV. Previously, we used the Osmo Nano. I wanted you to see everything that we were doing today, so I got this camera out. And let's continue. Where we left off, if we select sequence 1, we have our work so far, right? If we go into 2, everything's all in there. Once again, I stopped the video just to show you how I deleted sequence number 2. And I deleted sequence number 2 by holding the erase button and hitting pad 2. Now sequence number 2 is gone. It's blank. We know it's blank because sequence number 2 is not highlighted. Okay? But we want to copy this new intro that we have to sequence number 2 because the new intro that we have is 4 bars. And what I want to do is the second time we hear these 4 bars for the intro, we hear a little bit more. Maybe we're going to add something there. So what do? You guessed it, we're going to hold shift, we're going to press erase, which doubles as copy. Let's get a good look at that with the focus on while we're here. Focusing. Boom, look at that focus. Look how sharp this is. I love this 85 millimeter. Look, underneath erase it says copy. Underneath note repeat it says triplet. We're going to get into some of that later. But for right now, I just want you to see how important the secondary function is right here on erase. You need this very often because you need to be copying what you've already done. As I stated at the top of this video, you can take one loop and you can make a whole song. Let's do that. Let's continue, shall we? Continuing, centering, what a shot. Focusing on the GUI once again, let's continue. We're going to hold shift. We're going to hit the erase button, which doubles as a secondary function so we can copy sequence from B1 to 2. So now we're on the second part of the intro and it sounds like this. But we're going to want to add something there. Maybe introduce the kick. And then we're in, right? But also at the top of that would be really nice for like a transition, like a riser or something, just to let you know, hey, the intro was on sequence 1, the second half of the intro is on 2, but before we get in there, all hands on deck, we need something to drop. And I think a great way to have something to drop is by adding in a riser. How do you add a riser in? Well, all of these pads are being utilized, so let's just skip the nonsense here and let's just go straight to pad bank 2, which is blank for the most part besides 16 and 12. We know 16 and 12 are being utilized because they have color on them. Watch the color, folks. Watch it. We want a riser. Let's put a riser right up here on pad 13. We're selecting pad 13 before we add a riser because that's where the riser is going to go. If we had 9 selected, it would go there. If we made a mistake by, let's go backwards to the previous bank. We can get to the previous bank by holding shift and pressing pad bank. If we made a mistake by having this kick already selected and we went to add a riser, what do you think is going to happen? Well, everywhere there's a kick, that riser is going to be. So be careful when you're selecting a new sample from the internal hardware. Be careful and make sure you don't have a pad selected before we add a new sound, which is why we need to be on pad bank B. How do we get to pad bank B? We hit pad bank, and up here you see now we're on pad bank B. I want to put it on 13 as I said before. Then we're going to come over here to this amazing button. Let's get another look. Let's focus in, folks. Focus. Stay with me. I hope you got your coffee because we're focused today. It seems like that would be a better focus level here. Look at this right here. Underneath sample select, we have save sample. We don't necessarily need save sample. We want sample select. And we want sample select going on pad 13. We're going to hit sample select. And look at that. We have all of our internal sounds. Now maybe you actually have some external sounds saved on to your micro SD, which I would recommend. And look at that. I got my tag on here. I got a whole folder with the .d loud pack tags. Why not drop your producer tag before the beat drops? That's kind of what you do anyways when it comes to an intro anyways, right? So, let's get in there. Let's grab that .d loud pack.
Damn, got that loud pack.
Yeah, I think that's actually dope. What else?
D, Dame, got that loud pack. Dot D.
Dot D. I like that. I like that. I like that. We're gonna load that up. So that's ready to go right there. And while we're here, we're also gonna grab a riser by going back to the internal. All right, we just reselected the internal sounds here, and we're gonna go over here to this riser by going down. Look, we got all these sounds in the sample selection, and we want a riser. I believe there's some risers in here. There's loops, kicks, effects. There might be a riser in there. There's a break. We probably want to be in the FX. What's in the user? Okay, yes. We're going to go back. We're going to go into the effects and we're going to find a riser. Effects. Let's turn this down for a split second while we're shuffling through our effects. Let's bring that mic a little bit closer. Right behind the ting there so we can hear the riser. Let's go down to the riser. Boom bap. Looking for a riser. See, I turned it down because some of these are too loud. I kind of like that. It's just an airplane, but that's gonna work. We're gonna use that. You know, maybe you're leaving your woman behind, gentlemen or ladies. Maybe you're leaving your man behind. Personally, this sounds like a joint that a girl would sing on. So ladies, I'm talking to you. Maybe you're leaving your man behind. Maybe you left him on the island and you can't take it no more. So we're gonna put that true airplane sound on. And it's gonna go at the top as our riser with the dot D tag. Ooh, this is gonna be cold. We selected a new pad here. We know we selected a new pad because it's yellow. The new pad is yellow and we're ready to rock. And we're gonna load that there. So now let's go back to our sample mode. Let's play our John. We're back on the John. I love the MPC Sample because you can hold it like a Nintendo controller and still work. I love that about this device. So right at the top, we want to hear. That's funny. We're on. Am I getting some bugs? Am I getting bugs here? It's bugging out on me. It's bugging out on me. We might have to restart this bad boy. Let's go back to A. Okay. Back to pad bank B. We can see it says .D got the loud pack, but nothing's being triggered. That's very strange. We got a bug, folks. We got a bug. What's the best way around a bug? Holding shift, pressing project, saving your project. Saving it. Do it. Let's save it. We got a bug. We're going to turn it off. Shutting down. Then we're going to turn it back on. Surprise. We're turning it back on. Turning it back on. Turn it back on. Let's see if we're getting our tag now. Because that shouldn't have happened. I thought I was going to go back into sample select and see what happened here. Alright, so we got all our sounds. Pad bank B. That's a arrangement, which we don't even need really. I'm going to erase that. An arrangement lead sample. What is it? MP, we don't need that. Let's erase that. Now we load it up here. Let's see. That's supposed to be the plane. But I'm not hearing anything. Could be something internal here. It's not even being triggered up there. That's very strange. And my .D loud pack isn't being triggered either. Very strange. Let's just load up a new one just in case. Let's say we wanted that sound. You should literally have a pad selected, and then you should click into that by selecting the knob. It's going to select, it should save. Now if we go back into sample mode, when we trigger that, it should be there. But it's not going. Strange. Very strange. What is going on here? Don't make me end my video. Don't make me end my video. Why are these not loading up? Tune. Let's make sure it's not warped or anything. That's very strange. I've never experienced this before. I'm trying to see why this would be happening. Is it muted? It shouldn't be muted. Now it's muted. Alright, let's hold shift. Let's unmute all. All mutes are off. But it's not being triggered. So weird, man. What is happening? That's weird. Very strange. Very strange. Let's record. See if this is a weird workaround, but I'm pretty sure this is a bug. Now, we know that that's being triggered because I pressed it. I pressed it right there. Velocity, look at the velocity. Velocity is all the way up. Sample mode, it's still not triggering. It's very strange. If I go back, notice as soon as we press, we're getting our sounds here. Knob effects? It shouldn't have anything to do with our knob effects. Bypassing knob effects. Going back over here. It's not being triggered. So strange. Very strange. You are, you're really hurting this demo, Kai. I'm a little disappointed. There's no reason that should be happening. We're not getting any sound at all. Mute group. Stereo, poly. Offset. Migos. Nothing. What? What? Loop? Chop? Very strange. Not getting any sound on that. Even the one that we loaded up internally, we're not getting any sound on that. You know, this is whack because I wanted to demonstrate what I wanted to demonstrate, and I'm not getting any playback. It's driving me crazy. Why is this not playing back? It says locked right there. Why is it locked? I'm not quite sure. If I go back to pad bank A, this also says it's locked. So that's not the issue. Very strange. I'm trying to figure out a workaround for this, but I don't want to ruin this tutorial. You know, I want to finish what we have. I'm gonna look at this one more time. It's not being triggered. It's strange because even when I loaded the internal sounds, that wasn't being triggered. If I go back one more time to the users and the .D loud pack.
Dame got that. Dame got that loud. .D.
There's absolutely no reason this should not load up. Wow. Absolutely bugging me out. Let's look at the fader. Volume. We know that it's not the fader because these samples aren't even being initialized when I hit them. That is a weird bug. I want to say it's a bug because I've never seen that before. That's never happened before. I've loaded multiple samples before and they played. And now these aren't playing at all. It really makes me mad. I'm going to leave this on this tutorial because I feel like you all deserve to see this in real time to know, like, hey, sometimes it's not you, it's just a bug. If anybody knows what happened here watching this video, let me know. Otherwise, we're gonna move on. You know, I would honestly love to have been able to demonstrate this properly, but it's not allowing me to. It's not the filter, it's not the envelope, it's not the tuning, it's not the warp. It's literally just not even playing. Very strange. Whatever, we're gonna leave it in there. We're gonna leave it on the tutorial just so you guys can see that that was some bullshit. We're gonna focus back in, guys, and we're gonna try and finish this. What a, almost rage quit it there, but whatever. Let's continue the demo. Whatever. What can we work with? We can work with pad bank A. We know that. We're on sequence B bank. We are also, we have these all work fine. Very strange. You know what? Let me save this real quick. Let me save this. Saving it. Right? Let's just say, for grins and giggles, let's just say we opened up a new project. We saved it, right? Clear everything. Now there's nothing here at all. Let's say we sample selected. Let's say we wanted that same sample right there.
.D.
Now, y'all call me crazy, or what?
.D.
What's the problem?
.D.
Okay, let's go back. Let's load the project again. External. I believe this project was called R&B tutorial. Loading it again. Loading up R&B tutorial. We're going back to pad bank B. And it ain't there. What? Okay. Whatever. You guys saw it. It's a bug. Unless I'm bugging out, somebody hit me and let me know what happened there. But that's a bug. Because I've shown you tutorials before, I've loaded up sounds before, internal sounds, and I've had absolutely no issues before. We put it across several banks. We'll even throw it on an E-bank. No playback. Full level. No playback. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. It doesn't make any sense. Trim sample? No playback. What? Crazy. Whatever. Whatever, man. This is the second half of the intro. That's what we got. What can we work with? What do we have to make a drop? That's not gonna work. We've already used that. Maybe we could use that. Problem with that is it's not in the right key. So let's do semitone 3 on that. Cool. Maybe we'll do that. Let's reverse that. Interesting. That's almost like somebody was chopping some stuff. And man, I'm really upset about that. But I'm going to trim this here to this section right here. I just want to hear that. Maybe that'll work. Let's listen to the new second half of the intro. And let's put that sound right at the top. Overdubbing. And then we're in. Not what I wanted to do. I thought this was about to be fire the way I wanted to do it. But, poof. Is it this kit? Is there a bug on the kit? I don't know. So far, what do we got? We're going from sequence 1, which is the intro. Y'all about to see me rage quit this tutorial because it's just so unfortunate. Then we go into here. Even then, now I'm hearing that, since we're hearing that twice, something different. Going back to step edit very quickly, holding shift, pressing sequence. We don't need this hat in that at all. We're gonna erase all of that hat. So now, it sounds like this. And then we're gonna bring the hat in. And then we're gonna hear that drop. Hat comes in. Talk to him, you know what I'm saying? Talk to him, ladies. Do your little ad-libs and then... Cool. Except we want to take one more sound away, Mr. Rick Rubin. We want to take this away. We did this on 16 level last time. You remember that was on 16 level. It was, but once again, we don't need that until we're all in. So let's take that away on sequence 3. We know we're in sequence 3 because right there on step edit it says sequence 3. Let's hold erase. Let's get rid of it everywhere. It's gone now. We don't have to do it 50 times. And even then, like, we don't have that much to add. So I'm gonna make an executive decision one more time. And what we're going to do is we're gonna copy the all in one more time. We're gonna copy all in one more time by holding shift, pressing the erase button, copying 4 to 5, right? Coming back over here to 3. We don't need the snare for this sequence. So going back to sequence edit with the snare is where? There. We don't need it. Hold erase, press pad 2. The snare has gone everywhere now. So far, we got that coming from this to that. Let's hear everything we got. Because I'm ready to end this. I'm so upset. I didn't even get to hear my tag because we got some bogus bugs on here. We need to update it, Kai. And it goes in with the hat. Then we're going to bring the snare in. Pardon me, we're going to bring the kick in, right? One adjustment there. We don't need this. Let's erase that. And if I go back here to sequence 2, it's not there yet. Great. So this is still kind of slightly the intro. And then we go here. Now that would be perfect, except we don't need what? We don't need Mr. 16 level. Step edit again. That's our 16 level instrument. Let's erase that everywhere. So, what do we got? Starting from the top. Yeah. You know, I just wanted to hop on a plane, but apparently I can't buy that plane ticket. You know what I'm saying? What you talking about, girl? It's like... See, she's singing to him now. Just kind of introducing the melody. Got a little bit more going. I don't know how I feel about that. That didn't really necessarily work. We're going to chop this sequence in half one more time by holding shift and pressing pad 2. Sequence 3 is half now. We only needed half of that, so we're going 4. Another 4 bars. Another 4 bars. That's 12 into everything. Minus the 16 level. And when we get to the 16 level, we'll be up here. That is sounding funky. And I believe that is... The tuning is off on that. That might just have to go all together. However, where were we? See, we warped that earlier. And when you warp it, it's changing the key. This warp has to be in here. Trying to find the key to this manually. Almost right. Yeah, 150 might be it. Trying to match. Yeah, I think we're at like 150. Slightly better. Too loud though. We're gonna adjust the volume on this. I think that will work now. However, we don't really need to hear that until we're at this sequence up here, right? So on sequence 4, going into step edit, hearing this, that can just go everywhere. We're gonna get rid of that. We don't even need to know where it comes. We know we don't want it. And now I'm like, does sequence 4 need to be 4 bars or 8 bars? Let's listen to it. You gotta listen. Cool. I'm alright with that. But to be honest, it's just repeating the same thing minus that. So I think we can half that as well. So we're gonna half that sequence as well. So here's our R&B song. This is it. This is pretty much the whole song right here. This is the end of this video, I think. We're gonna go right up the ladder here. from intro to second half of intro without the drop that we wanted. Akai Pro fixed that bug, man. Crazy bug right there. You know, the workaround for this bug is to finish this on your actual MPC. And if you don't have an MPC, see that wavy drop doesn't work right there now. And look, the kick is still, the hat is still doubled up there. Pardon me, we got a couple mistakes there. And that's only a mistake because we halved the sequence. So going back to step edit really quickly, going to the end of this phrase here, getting rid of that hat, which is there, erase. I think that might be able to stay. That's an erase. And then going into this sequence, I'm moving a little fast now because I'm frustrated. Sorry guys. Back to this sequence. Like I said, the only way to fix what I actually wanted to do would be to import this, everything that we've done here, into your Akai Force or into your MPC. And if you don't have an MPC, or if you don't have an Akai Force, if you don't have a way of actually finishing this song and you wanted to finish it on here, unfortunately, you might have to wait until they fix that bug. Or you can export the whole thing as an arrangement itself and re-import it back in to a new project and then add the selected samples that you wanted to bring in the first place. Because for whatever reason, y'all don't want me to do that here. But whatever, we're gonna finish it. We're gonna use what we got. We're on that fourth sequence. We know we're on that fourth sequence because it says B sequence 4. Right? And remember, we don't want that hat at the top. So once again, we're going to delete that hat, which is there. Erasing that hat. We're going to delete that re-triggered sample. We're also going to delete this. And once again, I'll go back over here. I'm moving fast. On sequence 2, when I wanted to do the drop at the top, we introduced what? Was it? No. No. That. That's got to go. That's actually got to go. That's got to go. Hold step edit. Deleting that. Deleting. We know that's deleting because we have this selected. We tapped it. Now if we hold erase and we press that, it's going to delete pad 14 everywhere. So it's gone. And that was on sequence 2. So now let's hear what we got so far to end this. So you got your intro. Move into this. I got a couple melodies in my head. Moving into the next sequence. It was crazy because we're going to need a part 3 for this video. Now I'm going to have to show you guys how we would open this up on the Akai Force just to finish it. So now we got our kick and our snare, and then we go into all in. One last adjustment on sequence 4 at the top. We can hear this bad boy. We can hear that. So going back into sequence mode, if we hit sequence record while we're in sequence mode, we can hear more stuff. But if we don't have sequence record selected when we're on sequence mode, you're only going to select more sequences which are not revealing the samples that you have. So make sure sequence record is selected. Sequence record is right here. Let's show them what sequence record looks like. Focused in on sequence record, that's what sequence record looks like, right? It's right here. It says sequence record. And notice when we press sequence record, it toggles between blue and lime green, or highlighter green and a bright green. The bright green is representing what pad is selected and what sequence is selected within there. Dimly lit lime greens is representing blank sequences, and a bright highlighted green is representing sequences that have information on them. So I wanted sequence 4, right? But I wanted to add that at the top of sequence 4. Let's count in on that. Show your count in. Show them the count in. Let's focus in on that count in. We got sequence record. We're gonna press play. You guys hear how depressed I am? I'm depressed because of this bug, man. Bugs will make you depressed in your garden. And right at the top of this, we're gonna add that 1, 2, 3. You know, I might have I might have hit that on the 1. So let's undo that. 1, 2, 3. That's it. So now we're gonna go from, let's hear it all, and we're gonna end this video for shit show. Let's end it. Starting from the top. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to see me actually finish this beat by importing it into MPC or the Akai Force, make sure you subscribe and check out the next video. We took this about as far as we could take it to my liking. You know, if the bug wasn't here, we could finish the whole thing on this. But I don't know, I'm gonna go check my firmware, make sure I'm updated all the way, make sure the new, you know, update firmware for the MPC Sample didn't drop or something. I just don't have it because there's no reason that should have happened. We're going to sequence 4 now. It's pretty much everything in. It's only 4 bars, but the main groove is here. 1, 2, 3, and. And then from there, that can just repeat. Let's see with this adjustment we made over here. It's working now. Vaguely. But that's it. And thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. But that's pretty much the main groove. That's where she's really singing her heart out. From there, you could go back to here, Miss Badu. You could go. Right? And then from there, you can go right back to the main groove, or you can go back to 4. Right? And from there, you can go back there again. Bonus. What if you want to export what you got? Hold shift, hit pad 12, you have your song. Your song goes selection per selection, right? Let's make sure you can see this. Let's pick it up so you can see it, guys. Let's pick it up. Selection per selection. All right, you notice at the top you have your insert button. And at the bottom, we have all of our sequences. We're in song mode. We got to song mode, watch me, by holding shift and pressing pad 12, song mode. We want to start with the sequence that's selected. We know that this sequence here was the first one we wanted. So we have that selected. We know it's selected because it's a bright green. It's not a highlighter green or a lime green, whatever you want to call it. We say insert. That's the first sequence this plays. Then we have the second sequence. We're going in order, just like I taught you. Then we have the third. Then we have the fourth. Then we have the fifth. Then we went back to the third. Then we went back to the fourth. Then we went back to the fifth. And potentially we can end it right there. And in fact, that can happen twice. Hold shift, back to song mode by pressing pad 12. Did I say 14 before? It looked like 14. Holding shift and pressing pad 12 gets you to song mode. If I said 14 before, that was a mistake. I think it's correct though. So I believe if you go up and down, you can see where we are by pressing minus to go backwards, by pressing plus to go forward. We wanted to end it on sequence 1. We're at the bottom of song mode now here. As you see, it's at the bottom of the scroll. We know we're at the bottom because that bar on the far right is moving up and down. We're at the bottom. And at the bottom, we want to start right where we began. Full circle, inserting sequence 1. Boom. And we know what we're doing based on the GUI here. The GUI says it. It says you start with sequence 1, you go to sequence 2. Also look on the bottom, the hardware is changing based on these adjustments too. And you can also use your knob wheel. You don't have to use plus or minus. However, I'm used to using plus or minus from the step edit screen by moving around. So when I hold shift and press pad 12 and I'm in the song mode, I'm just pressing that as well. It starts with 1, goes to 2, goes to 3, goes to 4, goes to 5, goes to 6. Pardon me. From 5 we went back to 3, then we went to 4, then we went to 5, and we're ending at 1. And once we're done with that, we can export it. Export song to audio mixdown or new sequence. We want an audio mixdown. And we'll call it song. What is this? This is probably like the. Nobody likes the screen, by the way. Nobody likes the screen. This is probably song number. It's probably like 15 or 16. So we'll just call it song number 16, and we're saving to external. Do it. And that's it. That's how you do it. Like I said, if you want this song, if you want this on your own as an instrumental, make sure you join the Voyager Fleet via the Patreon, because I upload these instrumentals to the Patreon every month. And if you want lessons on how to do that, you know where to find me. Ladies and gentlemen, you're rocking with the best. .D.
Tell me what you want. You slipped up talking that. Now you're tripping on something that you can't take back. Why you won't regret when you can have more than infinity? Yeah. Infinity. Yeah.
Oh, lastly, let me just say this. If you are interested in learning more about the MPC or the Akai Force or songwriting in general, make sure you sign up for the Patreon, ladies and gentlemen, because on the Patreon, we have personal one-on-one lessons. I'm going to up the price soon. I got a new cat studying with me. I'm teaching him from Sydney, Australia. Shout out Steve Tawana in the chat. Sydney, Australia in the chat. Shout out to you and all the other Voyagers out there in the Voyager Fleet via Patreon. I can teach you how to do this on a one-on-one level. We can take it at your speed. Hit me on that. Remember, click up here if you want to watch more MPC tutorials, everything MPC, everything hardware. Click right here if you want to watch these music videos, and make sure you subscribe by clicking right here. I love you guys. I love you ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. And until next time, see you soon. Peace out.